Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Kirkian, your Director of Education here at PPA, and welcome to another episode of In It Together. Today, we're going to be talking to Amy Cirbus. She's the Director of Clinical Content at Talkspace, which is one of the leading online therapy platforms. Amy, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's so wonderful to be here.
Well, I really appreciate this. You know, we've been talking a lot about and people catching our past Facebook Lives and webinars, we've been talking a lot about all the government assistance and, you know, the legal side of things and the accounting side of things, and trying to help our members who are all small business owners really get a grasp of what's going on, so we can help them, you know, be at the front of the line for a lot of that stuff. And in all of that, and kind of that anxiety, I feel like all of that produces, really don't want to miss the opportunity to talk to people just about mental health and taking care of themselves, because that's the other side of the coin, right?
Exactly.
So one of the things, as I was talking to your team, they were sharing with us just what an increase you guys have seen online with therapy sessions.
We have seen a huge increase, as you can imagine, being a mental health company, but a tele-behavioral health company. Everybody has access to mental health resources online with us. So since March 5th, we have seen an increase of over 30%, 10 times growth since March 5th, of people coming on and seeking help for anxiety, as you can imagine, depression, just adjustment, just reaching out for some support, because everybody is so overwhelmed, and it's the unknown, and everybody is just reaching to take care of themselves. But also, I think a lot of what we're seeing also is people who are just trying to get a handle on themselves, trying to get a handle on the situation. And there's a lot of worry out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's just so much uncertainty, right? And so people are trying to figure out how to handle their own anxiety. What kind of conversations or what are you telling people in this moment, like, to handle all of this stuff? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think for everybody, there's a collective understanding that everybody is really struggling because life looks different and they didn't expect it. So there's a lot of powerlessness, and people are really struggling with that sense of not having any control, not having any answers, not having any power. And that looks a little bit different for everybody and everybody's different walk of life. But we're really trying to just sort of focus on today, focus on what you can control. There are small things that you can control within each day. And so what does that look like, right? So that might look like controlling your routine a little bit, your rhythm of your day, how you're taking good care of your sleep and eating, and managing anxiety from a place of, well, if you are operating and feeling really overwhelmed at a 10, how can we work together to bring it down to an 8 or to a 7, and just sort of taking it day by day by day.
And that whole control thing, I think, is a huge thing. You know, what we're seeing in our industry a great deal, and I think, again, it's very helpful. There's lots of people out there who are like, here's how you can handle this. Here's what you can do. I've got all these projects for you. You should be working on your business. You can be creative. You can be, and it's awesome because it's so inspiring and encouraging. But I can't help but feel that there's a little bit of an undercurrent that that makes people almost feel guilty if they're not able to do those things and to kind of get a handle on it right now.
Yeah, right. We have sort of shifted from this very achievement oriented as a culture, right, to, oh my gosh, all this happened, so now I have to achieve in a different way, almost in a very subtle way. But, you know, how do I continue to get something done and be productive? Because as human beings, we sort of have that drive to, well, I feel like I need to be productive, whether that's in our self-care or whether that's in our, you know, our business, and to feel like we're getting our footing and feeling like we're doing the right thing right now and optimizing the moment. And that can be really difficult because we're still figuring it out, and that still comes from us. So I think that's really another theme that I certainly talk about with clients all the time of, you know, there's a lot of still comparison going out there. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of explicit and implicit pressure. And so if you can just stop for a moment and reflect on what might be good for you right now, and that is going to look maybe different every day, but it also might be looking different than one of your peers or colleagues. Just waiting a minute and listening a minute. And it's very difficult, I'm sure. I'm probably speaking to the choir, but when, someone's like, well, you should be being creative right now, so go ahead and do it. It's a lot.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of people, and it sounds like there's also a wave that happens even on an hourly basis. You could wake up in the morning and feel like, okay, I've got lots of energy, I'm doing something today. And then you might have a moment where you're just like, I gotta sit down. I gotta, and so that you're riding this wave that's just occurring constantly. It's not even a daily thing.
I like that. That's exactly right. That's exactly what so many people, we're all experiencing, and then it's the sort of getting back up. That wave analogy is so great. We are not supposed to know what to be doing right now. And so intellectually, what happens is that we get it. We're like, oh, all right, well, this makes sense. I've sort of organized it and categorized it in my brain. But our feelings don't work like that. Our emotions don't work like that. They're not a faucet we can turn on and off. It takes a moment to adjust. And so if we don't want to be reactive, we want to sort of be really intentional and careful with ourselves and with the expectation, with the grace, certainly within the people within our family that we're residing with, and know that, we will come out of that. There is no rush. This is a marathon. It is not a sprint. I think we keep hearing that all the time. And that to me really translates to, you know what, if today didn't work out, that permission to say like, well, today didn't work out. I can't rush it. I'm going to reorganize and either try again this afternoon, try again this evening, wake up tomorrow morning and try again and get back in.
And be better.
Again.
I love that you just said that. I feel like I've been getting these messages lately about giving grace to your family, because I do feel like as a mom, I've been a little hard on my kiddo. He's in 6th grade and he's doing online stuff, and and I'm just every day like, what did you get this done to? I just feel like I'm kind of in this hyper mode. Do you have any good advice, just relationship wise, like even like loving our spouses or our partners,
Yes. I'm identifying with you as you're saying that. That just speaks to, we want to do this right. So you are home and we need to get these things done. But everybody is upside down. And I think I actually just wrote an article about that, about how are you, all of a sudden we're teachers, right? And all of a sudden there's these expectations on us. But guess what? I'm not a teacher. Otherwise I would have been a teacher, right? So really in cooperation. And what I have been saying is, yes, there are some things that we can do to create a rhythm, and it doesn't have to mimic school. It can sort of expand what we know as learning. But as far as relationships too, just checking in and asking a lot of questions and making it a team effort of how are we doing? How are you feeling? Whether that's to your child of like, what is this like? What's working for you? What's not working? What do we need to adjust as a family? Because we think what we might want to have happen is not what our spouse or our children or, all the people that we're living with want or expect or even assume. We all are dealing with it a little bit differently.
Yeah. That's great advice. I think anytime we can communicate better is probably a good thing.
Communication seems to be key right now in these small quarters, right? Yeah.
Without a doubt. I was telling you earlier, our son is a newlywed, and he said there's literally no place we can go in our apartment right now that we don't see each other, except maybe the bathroom. So.
Yeah, what pressure, right? What pressure? There's no way you can be your best person in a relationship 24/7. We all have there's no breathing space. And so trying to create a little bit of time alone, breathing space, expectations adjusted. And I know we were talking about that earlier. There are definitely some things that we can put out there. I do think it's important to be really careful with yourself as far as the things that you're doing and making sure that you're exercising and eating well and sleeping and taking time to be mindful, but also that shift of we are not expected to know. Let go of some of those expectations or parameters that you might have had 2 months ago, and give yourself some freedom.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like this has exacerbated kind of the way we think and live anyway. And so I think it's just drawing attention to where we do push really, really hard. So it'll be interesting, as we get to the other side of this, what we might learn perhaps from going through this.
Yeah, I think so. I think that we're setting ourselves up well to be still right now and to be open to that learning as opposed to just trying to get back to where we were, because it is allowing us to just be able to sit through really difficult emotions without having to do something to necessarily get rid of them. And that's a skill to be able to do and sit in the unknown and the ambiguity of it all.
That's that concept or idea of just being, right? Being a
Yeah.
human being versus a human doing. You
A
see that a
human
lot.
being. Yes, exact. Yeah, absolutely. And um, it is an opportunity. It just made me think while you were saying that. I think everyone is also struggling with, again, the doing of, well, I'm not even taking care of myself very well, and I'm not home baking new bread and coming up with new recipes. I must be doing something wrong. But it really be. You sit for a moment and try not to put too much on your to-do list. You don't have to recreate yourself in a month either.
Thank you. Thank you for that permission. I think we all need that. Dr. Amy Cirbus, thank you so very much for joining us. We really appreciated this. I think people need permission to just settle in and be in this moment. So it's great to hear from you. Can you share with me a little bit too? I know Talkspace is doing some fantastic things, not only for their members, but also for people for the general public.
Yeah, that's right. We actually have a donation program going on. So we are donating 1,000 hours of therapy to frontline medical workers right
Nice.
now.
Yeah.
And we also have a matching program in place. So therapists can donate a month of therapy, and for every month they donate, Talkspace is also donating a month. So we
Oh, wow.
have just hours and hours, and we have so many providers who are willing to donate right now, which is really
Nice.
heartwarming. Here's a little story too, just a heartwarming story. This program began, and as nurses and doctors are coming in and they're hearing that they're getting free therapy, they're saying, you know what, I can actually pay for it. Why don't you donate that to someone else? And so these hours just
Oh,
keep continuing to build because there's a lot of lovely, just goodwill out there right now. So we have
that's
that
great.
program going on. Yeah. We have free Facebook support groups for the public, so you can come in and just get the support you need from your peers. And we have 15 amazing licensed therapists who are also offering insights and support and guidance in those groups as
Yeah.
well. Our blog has a ton of resources, whether that's articles. We have tips and guidance as far as from every walk of life. If you're homeschooling your child, or whether you're a college student who is trying to figure out what
Yeah.
to do right now and really going through some transition. So we have a lot going on out there.
That's fantastic. And we'll make sure we
Yeah,
put all of that, all those links and all that information, we'll put that into the chat so everyone can see all of that as well. Thank you for everything you guys are doing. It's vital what you guys are offering, and we really appreciate you taking the time with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
absolutely. My pleasure.